We have some huge news to go over today as Shams has dropped a bombshell report surrounding Luka Doncic and his future in LA. We're going to break down the report and discuss what it means going forward as it changes everything for the Lakers. And Shams also calls out another reporter. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, folks, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the 90% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lakers have won 7 games in a row. They are rolling. They play the Knicks tomorrow. They play the Celtics Saturday. So there's going to be a lot of competition, a lot of good games coming up for the Lakers. And they're hoping to maintain their spot in the 2 seed in the Western Conference. However, regarding taking a step back and regarding Luka Doncic and his future, we've been hearing some rumblings over the past few weeks from a variety of reporters about Luka Doncic, whether his future in LA is secure, whether he's going to be able and want to, sign an extension beyond this, next season, following next year when his contract ultimately is up. And some new reports have dropped from Shams revealing some big information. Let's dive into it right here. So Shams was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said a bunch of different things. We'll dive into the exact quote, but we start with this. Luka Doncic is loving his time with the Lakers per Shams Charania. So he was on there, and I'll dive into the full quote now, but he basically goes on to say that not only is he loving LA, he is loving everything about it. And not only that, he, as you can see here, he had no intention of ever leaving the Dallas Mavericks. He did not want to go anywhere, but he then added one team, one city forever, and I think that's going to carry over into the Lakers. So if you are a Lakers fan like we all are, I'm super excited about this because obviously you trade for Luka Doncic, you have to, run under the assumption that you're going to be able to extend him because most trades and partners that come to LA, you would assume you're going to be able to keep. However, with Luka Doncic, you never really know. He was he's a very great player, and obviously he said didn't want to leave Dallas and that he wanted to stay in Dallas his whole career. Shams confirms that now, but he also said now that he's in LA, and we have a couple quotes from Luka Doncic later in the video to show you following the game yesterday about LA. He ultimately wants to stay with the Lakers, and according to Shams, he thinks it's going to carry over into the Lakers as it pertains to one city forever, so staying with the Lakers for the rest of his career, or whatever it ends up being. Now, obviously, he can't get the supermax that he would have gotten with the Dallas Mavericks, but he can still get a massive contract, and he'll probably get 2 more contracts in his career anyways. This is big. Now, Luka's really starting to come into form, specifically for the Los Angeles Lakers. It took him a while after his injury and after the trade to get his legs under himself, to see the Luka that we know from his time in Dallas, from when the Lakers played against him. And now we saw it in yesterday's game, we saw it in the game before. He is really 3 straight games. He has been elite. He put up 30 points yesterday, a 30-point double-double, and he is fantastic. And obviously, you can see here the Lakers are 19-4 in the last 23 games. That's just shy of 30% of the season. It's not a small sample size. It's real. And obviously, not all of these was with Luka Doncic, but Luka Doncic has played a huge part in winning these games, especially recently against a very solid team, the schedules that they've had. And the fact that he wants to stay in LA is good because there was some rumbling specifically from Brian Windhorst recently saying that he's not 100% convinced that because the Lakers can't offer him the Supermax contract, he can't have a crazy, crazy high offer as opposed to other teams, that Luka may be willing to go elsewhere. And you can see this here. Shams fried Windhorst here about trying to manufacture drama about Luka. Isn't guaranteed to stay with LA. And Shams said, I think Luka is loving his time with the Lakers. You think about the Lakers brand where they treat stars like stars and they're larger than life. Now, Shams doesn't directly name drop Brian Windhorst, but we know Brian Windhorst was the big reporter who came out and was talking about how there's some drama, but not necessarily drama between the Lakers and Luka Doncic, but there was a bit of time where there was some rumblings about, drama in general, whether it be through LeBron, through Luka, through other players, and all these different things via the trade. We think back to when the trade happened. I made a video on it a little bit after. He's basically saying that's not the case. He's loving his time in LA. He's comfortable there. And obviously, all the stars in LA get treated like stars, bigger than life, larger than life, like Shams says. But it's nice to put some water on the fire as it pertains to anyone who thinks, specifically other reporters, Brian Windhorst, that Luka, and again, he still might leave. It's not under contract beyond a few years now down the line. Of course, he's under contract this year, next year, and all those things. But after that, his next big free agency step in 2026, 2027, that's going to be the big contract that he's going to receive following, of course, getting the max contract with the Mavericks. And ultimately, if he didn't want to leave Dallas, I'd like to think that he's not going to leave LA, especially because now we almost reset the clock on LeBron James's career in the sense of for at least the next year and maybe beyond that. I mean, we're seeing LeBron James hit 50,000 points yesterday. We're seeing him do things that obviously no 40-year-old has ever done, but one of the greatest accomplishments in sports history, not just the NBA, as it pertains to one singular athlete. You could argue the most impressive accomplishment at 40 years old doing what he's doing. So for him to continue to play now because of Luka Doncic, and we haven't heard that, for sure yet. Like, we assume that LeBron will probably play next year and pick up that player option, or maybe opt out, play a couple more years. Obviously, his son is on the Lakers now, Bronny James. He had a little bit of a decent game yesterday in his very few minutes. Missed a couple threes, but had a nice drive and finish. So it's going to be interesting to see what Luka Doncic ends up doing. I would suspect he's going to stay in LA, but it's a pretty big bombshell report here, halfway through, not halfway through the season, I guess towards the tail end of the season, about Luka's future, and they might get the job done and the deal done sooner than we may think. And a couple other things to go over today. Luka spoke on Lakers teammates adjusting to his style of play, and he said, yeah, I think it's getting better and better. You saw the Gortat screen. They're talking about Trey Jemison. I told Trey Jemison last game, if you do that, it's going to be open there for me. So he was unselfish and did that. Also, when I talk about cutting the baseline, it's just talking about those things, what things I like, what things they like, and what's going to make it easier to win. And ultimately, that's the big difference. He's played with a lot of the guys in Dallas for a very long time. Even Kyrie got used to playing alongside him. To come to a new team in LA with mostly new teammates. Of course, you have Dorian Finney-Smith, a couple guys there that he's familiar with, but mostly new teammates, new structure, new coaching staff, and just moving in general. A, coming off of an injury, but not only coming off of an injury, but B, of course, joining a brand new team and the biggest team in basketball with all the spotlight in the world and the biggest trade in NBA history. The pressure was going to be on, but even from a basketball perspective, if he wasn't 100%, pair that with not having a ton of chemistry with his teammates, he was going to look a little bit off, and he did. There's no arguing that. He didn't look great for the first few games, but now he looks absolutely fantastic, and we saw the Trey Jemison screen last night in the second half. It worked perfectly. He pointed to Trey Jemison immediately. Trey Jemison is starting to develop into a player of his own as well, which we'll cover in a future video, but Luka is adjusting. He seems a lot healthier. He seems a lot better, and he's having a ton of fun as well. And LeBron doesn't affirm that the Lakers are a championship team. He spoke out on that. There was a lot of good quotes following yesterday's 7th win in a row against a very solid team. So we got to continue to get better. Obviously, they played the Pelicans yesterday. Not a very solid team there as it pertains to yesterday, but they've been playing a lot of solid teams as of late. So we got to continue to get better. There's a lot of things we want to continue to build. We want to get healthy as well. We're still missing 2 of our starters. With a full group, we can go out and compete versus everyone. Obviously, talking about Rui Hachimura and Austin Reaves. It's yet to be seen if Austin Reaves will play tomorrow. I'll have a video for you guys later once the injury report drops. But at the end of the day, it is going to be interesting to see how they compete against the Knicks, how they compete against the Celtics. Dorian Finney-Smith has slotted in perfectly in the starting lineup, and you could argue that even when Rui Hachimura is back, they might keep DFS in the lineup, or they should keep DFS in the lineup, depending on what you think about the different styles of play. Obviously, Rui Hachimura is a more offensive-minded player, but it's a good point. You love to see this never satisfied, mindset. We've seen it from LeBron his entire career, but especially this year as well. The Lakers aren't a championship team, obviously, until they win it, and in the meantime, you have to go out and actually win these games, and they're taking care of business against the good teams, against the bad teams. With Luka Doncic appearing to want to stay in LA, things are looking very, very good. A couple other things Luka needs to improve on. I got to drive more. I'm still getting in rhythm. He's putting up near 30-point triple-doubles, folks, while getting in rhythm. And even Vando saying having a bench full of dogs and guys willing to scrap and give extra effort. I love it. That's the culture we're trying to set. Things are looking up. Things are looking good. This Lakers team has won 7 in a row, and hopefully they can continue it against the Knicks tomorrow. We'll keep you guys up to date. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.